Utale Swayam Rupakaramayam Nanati Swavalantikam Namam Vishnubhara Krishabhasa Utale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Govani Pachane Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pasatara Satarine Vanshakapa Trivasha Kripa Sinivevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Srivasadi Go Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so thank you very much for coming together to our session number 2 on the topic of the false ego. How many people do we have online? 7. And are they switching on their video? Show me the screen so I can see. Well, only see me there, I think. Yes, I was. No problem. Oh, yeah, that's maybe a good idea. Yes, let's open the curtain. Good. So there's only 2, no, only because one of them, that's me. So can you all please switch on your videos? Who is online? So I can see your smiling faces. I am looking in the computer screen. Holy, holy bull. They're not even there. They're just logging in to be there in name only. Oh, now somebody is switching, but that's also just a profile picture or something, right? I don't have my glasses on. It's Radha Krishna, that I'm sure they're not sitting there online. Okay. Well, what to do? Everybody is hiding there. See, they're not even hearing it, otherwise they would switch it on. But yeah, let's not waste time. Okay, you can turn around. We can make a deal. We only accept questions from the online audience if they're switching on their video. And we can see that they're actually with us here, you know, that they're listening attentively and not doing so many other things. Yeah, so was everybody here yesterday? Yes. Okay, excellent. Just to refresh our memory, so yesterday we were introducing the whole topic of the false ego, and we were saying, you know, we are thinking ourselves to be something which we are not, and we have so many roles we are playing, like we are wearing hats, and we identify with these roles. Why? Who remembers? Yes. Yes, they give us some sense of importance, some subtle sense gratification, some little recognition, and being somebody. Yes, exactly. And that's exactly this gratification which the false ego is, pushing for, we can say. Yeah, and then we were saying, as long as we're trying to be something which we are not, we cannot be peaceful, because we always have to pretend and try to convince everybody that we are something which we are not really. And there has to be a lot of anxiety there. And then we were talking about the nonsensical stage performance, right? Yes. Prabhupada puts it so nicely, how the curtain closes at the moment of death and it's all finished. And what else? And then we talked about 1858, the verse in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna gives us these 2 options of acting, Either we work in consciousness of him, and then we can cross over all the obstacles by his grace, or we act through false ego, and then we are lost sooner or later. And yes, and we were saying, so material way to success is that ambitiousness, trying to become this, that, the other thing. But in spiritual life, a better approach would be to just cultivate a desire to serve wholeheartedly. And from that, Krishna opens the right doors at the right time. I remember once, somehow I can't really lean back. Once when I was giving the seminar in Mayapur, then one person in the audience was saying, "But Mataji, did you not plan to become a traveling preacher and author of books?" And I realized, no, I never had that plan. Never. I never even thought that I would ever be able to do anything like this, But one thing I can say is that I tried to really give myself in service, whatever it was, yes. And I tried to really serve with heart and soul and give everything. And from there, I have experienced this myself, that the right doors open at the right time. And I think one thing I didn't mention yesterday, that we may sometimes find ourselves in a situation, which I also remember from my life some 20 years ago or something, that I felt, somehow I could do so much more, but somehow it didn't happen. The opportunities were not coming, right? And then sometimes we may get a little impatient or frustrated. Oh, what's happening? I'm not allowed to do this, and nobody's hearing me, and But now, when this happens, it means that Krishna thinks we are not qualified to deal with our successes. In other words, we would get too puffed up and carried away if he would give us the opportunity, and if we would have some successes, we would get too proud and carried away. So, and that's why Krishna puts the handbrakes on. Right? Anybody experience that situation? Yes. Yeah. And as I said, I experienced that too. And when I look back now, I definitely know why Krishna put the handbrakes on. I just needed a bit more purification, and I still do. That's why maybe he's still putting the handbrakes on. I'm not sure. But meanwhile, I feel actually Krishna gives me so many opportunities and opens up the doors and so on. So, and also another thing which I also have experienced, because we should make plans in our life, we can, it's not that, we should not make any plans. We should just not be ambitious and driven by false ego, but we should have some plans. I mean, the mind loves to make plans, and there's only two kinds of plans, either plans for sense gratification or plans for Krishna's pleasure. So we should engage the mind in making plans, how we could serve the devotees, Prabhupada's mission, and so on, And we can always verify them with devotees. And very often these plans don't come through, right? But still, it's not a waste of time. Sometimes people say, oh, well, I have my plans, but Krishna has his plans, and my plans often don't come through, so let's not plan. But no, we do get that benefit from making plans, because we absorb the mind in planning how to please the Lord, Yes. So, and I've had so many different plans in my life, you know, but very often the doors were closing. But every time a door closes, so many others open. So when I look back now, I think, oh, thank God that door closed, you know, otherwise I would never be what I'm doing now, you know. So yeah, just the fact that our plans may not come true doesn't mean we shouldn't make plans, you know. Hare Krishna, Prabhu and Mataji, thank you for coming. Yeah, so in our plan making, we should simply not be so attached to them that we can't adjust to Krishna's plan, you know. We may have our plans, but we have to be ready to let go of our plans and accept Krishna's plan, you know. So it doesn't mean we should not make plans, you know, just because they sometimes don't come through, you know. Because if we don't make plans for Krishna service, then very easily we engage the mind to make plans for sense gratification. But yeah, I hope it is clear that there is a difference between making plans and being driven by ambition and false ego motivation, you know. We can make plans, and we should always ask a senior devotee, a mentor, what do you think, and so on, you know. So yeah, so there can be long-term plans, short-term plans, especially also when we get elderly, you know, we have to make plans where we want to leave our body one day. Yes, I always tell that to people. Once they're over 50, you should think where you want to leave your body one day. And you should serve in that community and make yourself dear to the devotees. And then, you know, care is based on personal relationships. It cannot be, you know, how to say, what's the right word? No, I lost the word I usually say. Yeah, it cannot be, you know, institutionalized. You know, care is based on relationships. So if we serve, you know, then actually people want to reciprocate and care, you know. So we can't be blind and say, oh, well, I'll leave it up to Krishna or something, you know, and we keep an aloof life, just come once a week to the temple, and well, then we can't expect that somebody is going to really, you know, put themselves out when we need the care, you know. Yes, but it's a bit of a different topic now. Yeah, but in any case, so I simply wanted to share mainly this point that when we feel, you know, we are not getting the opportunities and we feel somehow we could actually do more. So best to be patient and understand Krishna puts the handbrakes on. We are not ready to deal with the success, and let's purify ourselves and let's desire and long to actually, you know, surrender fully in service and sacrifice ourselves for Prabhupada's mission. You know, if Krishna sees that we're willing to give our life to serve Prabhupada's mission, then surely the right doors will open at the right time. Yeah. And last point we made yesterday was that we said, yes, false ego is not all bad. There's also a good aspect there because at least it motivates us, it gets us going. Like my bank in Germany, they have this statement there. Everybody has something that keeps him going. Yeah. It's usually the false ego identification, you know, I'm father, I'm mother, I'm this, I'm that. So that keeps us going, you know, the nonsensical stage performance. Yeah, so, but false ego is not all bad. It motivates us, you know. And we were saying, especially in grhastha life, Also for ladies, I can always clearly see when a woman gets married and becomes a mother, there's actually no better way to learn how to sacrifice yourself in selfless service than being mother and wife. You know, when you're mother and wife, this is 24/7. There's no day off. And, you know, but Brahmacharini ashram, 5 hours service. Oh, really? You know, and I always tell these girls, you know, in no other situation in life can you get away with only doing 5 hours service. If you work, you have 8 hours work, and then you still have to do your shopping, cooking, chanting, and you know. And if you are at home and you're mother and wife, you know, it's 24/7. And no other situation do you do 5 hours of service or duties or something, you know. And then the people need a day off. I mean, in my Brahmacharini years, there was no day off, you know, and it was not 5 hours. We were out on Sankirtan from 8:30 in the morning to 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. We were not even allowed to come home for lunch. So, you know, that's how it was in the old days. Yeah, so, and then after 2 or 3 years of Brahmacharini ashram, no energy, you know, but then when people get married, whoo, they're flying and baking cakes and doing so many things, you know. But doing all that for Krishna, I'm tired, I have no energy, you know. Yeah, it's really like that, you know. So Krishna actually uses this false ego. It's almost like a trick to trick us into serving, you know. But then gradually we have to purify it. We can't just leave it at that, you know, but that's a whole lifetime project, you know, to develop that same dedication, not only for my children and my husband, but for every living entity out there, you know. So, yeah, eventually we have to transform, you know, gradually this false ego motivation into simply wanting to serve, you know, and give our life for Prabhupada's mission, you know. Yes. Okay, so before we start today's topic, let me see, do we have any questions? Any point of discussion? There's one online from somebody who did not switch on their video, is it? Huh? They turned on the video. Okay, let's hear the question.
It's from Premarup Madhavi Mataji. The question is there a litmus test to see when we are doing...
Is there a what?
Litmus test.
A what?
Litmus test. A definitive test.
How do you call this?
Litmus.
Litmus. Never heard. Okay. All right. Is there a test? We drop the litmus, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
To see when we are doing something to boost our false ego versus doing it in service attitude so that we can correct ourselves.
Usually, sooner or later, we are exposed. Krishna arranges something and it becomes very clear, you know? And that's exactly why serving in the association of devotees under senior guidance is so purifying. Yes. You know, if we keep ourselves aside and, we just do something, maybe on the internet or something, we will not get that purifying effect, you know? We don't put ourselves in the fire of service in the association, because if you serve in cooperation with other devotees, that's when the false ego starts flaring up, Yes, when somebody corrects us. So if we have only service mood, we only want to serve, then we're welcoming any kind of correction. We welcome any kind of change of positions, as we mentioned yesterday, to take somebody off a certain post will not be a problem then, because we say, okay, all I want to do is serve. Please let me know, how can I serve? I'm happy to do anything, so we will be exposed. Krishna arranges. He's very good at that, that he arranges all kinds of scenarios, as we also mentioned yesterday with the example of a traveling preacher and being scheduled for class, and then Samaj comes, and and then it's suggested, oh, maybe he should give the class. So if we only want to serve, fine, I can serve by hearing, I can serve by speaking. But, if we are in a false ego mood, we get all angry and irritated and offended and this and that, so, yeah. It will become obvious. Maybe not to us so easily. We may not even get the point. Like when we get offended or something, so we may not realize that this is the false ego there, But yeah, that's why we need a mentor. And of course, if you have the false ego book, and you read it, there you will get so many examples and this and that, where you realize where you stand. If you're a little introspective and honest, then you realize. You had a question for me? Yes, actually, let's start the topic for today, because that topic will also make it very clear that where we stand, Yes. Yeah, so because the false ego is so near and dear to us, that's why we like to defend and protect the false ego at any given opportunity, rather than dissolving and letting it go and subduing it. We defend and protect the false ego. So we all know, that eating, sleeping, mating, defending, the 4 animal propensities, we should subdue them, we should minimize them. So we hear a lot about eating, sleeping, mating, but we don't hear so much about defending, right? In fact, hardly anybody ever talks about it, So here in this connection, we talk about verbal defense. And yeah, the Vaishnava etiquette is that a devotee should not defend him or herself. We should defend others, definitely Krishna and Prabhupada and Guru or other Vaishnavas. I think we mentioned it briefly at the Sunday Feast program, right? Yes, but we don't defend ourselves. And if everybody would follow this rule of etiquette, there would be no need even to defend ourselves, right? Because surely somebody would step up and defend us if we are somehow wrongly treated, But the problem is that we do the opposite. We're pretty good at defending ourselves almost every day. But when somebody else is wrongly treated, we look the other direction and we don't want to get involved, and we don't want to, put our relationships in danger, or the person may not like it if I say something and all this. And we don't step up and defend that person, Yes, that is really a problem, Yeah, so this defending oneself is a no-no, actually, especially towards seniors, especially towards guru. Oh, so inappropriate, you know. Yes. Actually, I'm sure you all know Harisori Prabhu, right? Or at least you've heard of him. He's a disciple of Prabhupada, and he traveled with Prabhupada quite a few years. And he wrote many books, diaries about his time with Prabhupada. So I know him quite well personally. He has helped me in so many different ways and so on, you know. And I often verify some Prabhupada stories before I publish them in the book, you know, because there's so many stories all Prabhupada said and all this, and many of them are not in the database because everything was not recorded there. So I usually verify, or have you heard this, and so on, you know. And when I put the False Ego book together, I wrote him a message saying, "Oh, Prabhu, do you have a story with Prabhupada where you defended towards Prabhupada?" And yeah, he sent me a nice story, which I will share. Prabhupada asked Harisori Prabhu, "Give me the red folder from the Almirah, from the cupboard." So Harisori Prabhu goes to the cupboard, Prabhupada, there is no red folder. And then Prabhupada repeats, "Give me the red folder." And Harisori, "I can't see a red folder here." Prabhupada repeats a third time, "Just give me the red folder." You know. So, and then Harisori says, "Prabhupada, there's a pink folder. Do you mean the pink folder?" And Prabhupada doesn't reply. So then Harisori takes the folder, which he thinks is pink, and he gives it to Prabhupada and he says, "Prabhupada, it's pink." And this is really, oh my God, you know. I mean, this is really talking about the false ego, you know. Prabhupada, I'm right, you're wrong. It's pink, it's not red, you know. And Prabhupada blasted him. Oh my God, he gave him a whole 10-minute lecture. "So now you have become very expert in defending yourself towards your spiritual master." And he really, he was very heavy, you know, really chastising him. But Harisori Prabhu is sharing how it actually felt so good to be once again, you know, because it had been building up for a while, that he just got a bit too carried away there, you know, for whatever reasons. And so Prabhupada put him again in his position where he belonged, and it actually felt really good, you know. Yeah, so that's the thing, you know, towards the guru. Oh, this is so inappropriate. Even in a situation where guru chastises us for something which we did not even do, you know, still, you know, the Vaishnav mood is that we don't defend. And that's a challenge. You know, you imagine yourself in that situation. Your guru chastises you for something which you did not do. I mean, the false ego would really push, you know, push us. "Oh, you have to make this clear, Guru Maharaj, it wasn't me. The other person did it," you know. Oh, that pushings would be really strong, you know, because you're concerned about your image. What do I look like and all this, you know. But the proper Vaishnava behavior would be to quietly accept it and say to yourself, "Well, I've done so much nonsense where I did not get chastised, you know. So now Krishna arranges some chastisement for me, which I deserved already a long time ago, you know. So let me accept it as an opportunity just to let go of my false ego. You know? Yes. Yes. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. Yeah. But that would be the proper behavior. You know? But yes, this tendency to defend is so strong, you know, but. And, you know, we want to have the last word. And actually, it wasn't me. And whoo, you know, the false ego is pushing the tongue that sometimes people can't even control themselves. It's all blurting out, you know. Yes, yes. And I remember I gave this whole seminar in Mayapur once. And usually I spend about 2 hours on this whole session, or even longer. And so we just had discussed this whole topic of not defending. So, and then afterwards, I talked to one young bhakta, and I can't even remember what the topic was. And immediately he defended like anything. And I said to him, Prabhu, we just discussed it. Remember, don't defend, just don't defend. And he just couldn't even hear it. He just kept on going, you know. Yeah, even after just having a whole big discussion about it, that we should not defend, you know. And it wasn't even anything big. I can't even remember what it was. It was just some minor thing. I don't even know what it was. But yeah, I was thinking to myself, wow, isn't it amazing, you know, that people even after saying it, he could have just said, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, I better be quiet or something. No, he couldn't even hear it. It was just going on, defending. Yeah, so that's what it's like, you know. That's a very important rule of Vaishnava etiquette, which we break almost every day. You know? Yes. Krishna actually, once we know these things and we are more perceptive, we realize Krishna puts these situations in front of us almost every day, just to give us an opportunity to dissolve the false ego. But what do? We always blow it, you know, we always do the opposite of what we should be doing, you know. Yeah, so, and I mean, I have to admit, I'm also not fully there, you know, and I'm also sometimes defending, and then afterwards, no, you know, better not, you know. Yes. I mean, maybe I should share this. Just when I was visiting San Diego, I had this situation with Bhakti Narayan Maharaj, you know. Whoever knows Bhakti Narayan Maharaj, he's a pretty heavy person, you know. And I know him quite well. I took him 2 times around Bangladesh before he took sannyas and so on, you know. And he was actually really encouraging me to establish this institute. Oh, yeah, and he's GBC here, right? Yes. So anyway, I had this funny pastimes with him, and I was giving a lecture on the false ego, you know. And according to my understanding, I really made this point that the false ego has also a good part. And I went into all the examples, you know, with the grhastha life and the temple car and this and that, you know. And then afterwards, and he asked a question about this, you know, that it also has some good side, you know, the varnashram. That's why we, you know, have varnashram, because that motivates us to act, you know. So, and then afterwards he came up to me and he kind of said to me, oh, Mataji, you missed the point, and false ego has all this good part in it. And I was saying, Maj, but I explained all this, you know. You know, but no, I don't know if he just wanted to chastise me or smash my ego, or whether he really didn't hear it or something, you know. It was, I mean, I'm sure he will not hear this. But anyway, you know, so yeah, but he just kept on going. And I was defending, because I was saying, but I just explained it all. And he was saying, listen, just listen, you know. And then I realized, okay, let me just not defend, let me just not defend. And then he wrote me an email, and because he gave the class the next morning, but I couldn't come because I was staying too far away and I didn't have a driver. So he sent me the link and he said, here, listen to this class, where I'm making this point, how the false ego has the positive aspects, So, and of course, first my ego, maybe I should tell him that I said exactly that, And I was thinking also of writing to him this verse, It's from Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'm not a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, I'm not a grhastha, brahmachari, vanapasta, sannyas, but I'm only servant of the servant, But we have to come to that conclusion ultimately, and that's what I said, But maybe for his taste, I didn't elaborate enough on the good part of the false ego. So now I was contemplating, maybe I should send him that verse, that yes, but we have to come to this conclusion. And then I thought, no, let me just not defend. Let me not get into this false ego battle here with Maharaj, And I just said, thank you very much. Yes, I will listen to it very carefully. And I left it at that, But yeah, I mean, it's challenging, and probably a couple of years earlier or something, I may have, made my comment there or something, But yeah, I mean, well, I'm also getting some purification here. And I just let it go, and thought, all right, let him be right, and let me say, okay, I didn't elaborate enough on it, even though I really thought I did. And I told the story to somebody who attended the class, and he also said, yeah, of course you all talked about it. It was all there, So, yeah, but anyway, I really saw it as Krishna, because I gave the seminar on the false ego, so Krishna just arranged some little purification there for me. Yeah, but that's what it's like. Then often at that moment, we don't even get it immediately, And I immediately defended. No, I talked about all that, But he just cut me off. Just listen, Yes. So anyway, yeah. And because the false ego is pushing us so much for this gratification, and the tongue is all, we can't even control it. So that's why Krishna gives us these rules of Vaishnava etiquette, that the Vaishnava etiquette is like this. We are not meant to defend, and definitely not towards a superior, Yes. So, and somehow we just have to get this in our head, and then by following the Vaishnava etiquette, because as I'm always saying, Vaishnava etiquette and culture is designed like this, that we become Trinada Pisunichena, more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. So that's why this Vaishnava etiquette and culture is so important. Doesn't matter where we are in the world, Yes. And I mean, interestingly, it is Krishna's culture. It's the culture of the spiritual world, Even in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna acts differently according to seniors equals juniors, and the other devotees, they act differently with Krishna, according to their position. When they're junior, they massage his feet, and equal, they're, well done, Krishna, you did it again, and the superiors, they give blessings, rub the head affectionately, that's the culture, we, even in the spiritual world, we follow the same culture, and we treat people differently according to senior equal junior. It's not that, we are all equal and no discrimination or something. No, even in the spiritual world, even the those entities in the female form, they play their role, you know. Yes, Mother Yashoda is not competing with Nanda Maharaj here or something, you know. No, everybody plays their roles according to the form, the spiritual body they get, you know. It's very clear, you know. So, all right, on Gopastami, because Radharani really wanted to be there when Gopastami is the festival when Krishna is old enough to herd the cows and not the calves. So there's a whole festival only for the men. So then Radharani dresses up as a cowherd boy, you know, and sneaks in there. But otherwise, you know, it's not that Radharani goes out there in a dhoti and herds the cows or something. No, that's what the gopas are doing, you know. And the gopis, they're churning butter and cooking and you know. So it's very clearly, or everybody knows their duties according to their, you know, form and their natures and so on, you know. Yeah, so in any case, this defending, you know, there are certain mechanisms, for example, blaming others or the external situation. It's always the classic way to defend the false ego, you know, that we say, I'm all right, I'm okay, it's all the other people. And it's that situation, and we find excuses why it all happened like this. You know, they are all defense mechanisms, you know, to defend our false ego, you know, that we say, yes, I'm right, and it wasn't me. It's all the others, you know. And I mean, as we were mentioning yesterday also, that the false ego is contaminating the intelligence, right? That sometimes maybe you have come across a situation where somebody experiences the same situation so differently, right? That you almost think like, are we talking about the same incident? You know? So interesting to understand there is no objective hearing or objective experience. Even here, everybody's sitting here. Each person hears something completely different according to their material attachments, their material desires, their false ego, their baggage they're carrying, you know, some childhood traumas or something, people who've been in abusive situations, you know, when they hear something like being submissive towards a man, that completely triggers them, you know. Yeah, people sometimes get triggered just by one word because they have some traumatizing experience with something, you know. So everybody hears and experiences the same situation completely differently. So, and sometimes, you know, you have this, that people experience, let's say there's some kind of a conflict situation and everybody tells their part and you are the mediator and you think, you know, this person is saying this, but then from that person, I hear that version. And what the hell is going on? You know, so, and you start wondering, is one person lying here or something? But no, what happens is that the false ego contaminates the intelligence, and the contaminated intelligence twists things around, even in their memory, you know, it's all twisted just to give the false ego that gratification that I actually was right. I did the right thing. And it's all the others. And they really believe it. They're convinced of it. It happened like this. You know, interesting to understand, you know. So we can't blame them that they're liars or something. It's just a contaminated mind and intelligence. Twists it all around just to suit the false ego's demands. Wow. Yes, and I mean, obviously, this is why we need a mentor. Yes. How on earth, can we ever, understand the situation if we are so infected by the false ego there, and we will never by ourselves understand it. Only if we have this dear, most well-wishing friend who is more experienced, where we know he's got no other interest except helping me in my spiritual journey. And if he or she taps us on the shoulder and say, hey, just cool down, you overreacted a bit, and actually it was a little different, and so on. And from that person we maybe can accept it. But if that relationship is not established before the challenge and the testing situation comes, then we are lost. The situation, the relationship has to be established before we face the challenge. Otherwise, we will get offended, walk out, never to be seen again. It happens quite a lot. Yes. Yeah, so it's a whole big topic, Yeah. Yes. Also, it was here, right? We had this ladies' program where we're talking about Pajalpa. Who was there then? A few people. Yes. So there we were coming to the topic of debating. We were discussing Bhaktivinoda Thakur's presentation on Prajalpa, or the different forms of Prajalpa in Bhakti Aloka, the book. So, and they're debating is one of the forms of Prajalpa. And this debating is so highly driven by the false ego, because people are not in the mood of humbly hearing and inquiring about the truth, but no, people just want to get their point across and be the winner of the debate, and often people don't even listen what the other person has to say, and they just want to get their point across, and it's a whole false ego thing. And we were discussing how often these debates are happening over internet or social media, and somebody makes some statement, maybe about yourself or a certain situation or whatever. And then you feel, oh, well, maybe I should comment on this. Otherwise, everybody thinks it's true. If I'm quiet, I have to somehow say something. So then no matter what you say, other person twists it all around, makes a weapon out of it, boom, shoots it back. And like that, it goes on and on and on and on and on. There's no end in sight, no end. And you can feel how the contaminating effect of the false ego. You get all agitated, and you can't chant anymore. It goes all in circles in your mind, and you get all, full of anger and almost hatred, and and it builds all up, and terrible. So devotees should not allow themselves to get caught in these ego battles and debating, over the internet and all these things, But better just to pull out, Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, finish, close the topic, and let them talk what they want to talk, because it will not lead anywhere. You cannot convince people. People are not ready to hear, They don't want to actually understand your side or something, And often it is also rather aggressive and offensive, and, just in an inappropriate mood and tone and so on, So better not to get involved in this. But very quickly before we open for questions, of course, this whole topic, let me add this just to make sure. Of course, this not defending one big exception is abuse. So for abusive situations, we cannot just be quiet and tolerate or something. But even there, the proper Vaishnav mood is, if a person has been experiencing abuse, you should reveal your mind to your mentor and then let that person take it up. Let that person take it up. But that person has to take it up. And that's where we've been failing a little bit, not wanting to get into that topic. But yeah, if we would follow the Vaishnava etiquette, and we step up and we defend that person, then it can somehow be caught in the nip there of, no, how do you say? Yeah, anyway, you catch it in the beginning, Yes, yeah. That's what I was, nip it in the bud, exactly, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, so, but if we look away and we think, oh, can't be, and this and that, and nobody does anything, this is the worst, So, but just to make sure, yes, in really abusive situations, one has to do something, But yeah, that channel is the better one, that we reveal our mind in confidence to a trusting person, to a mentor. And then that person has to deal with it, But yeah, so this whole topic of not defending, of course, leads us to the topic of tolerance, right? Yes. And tolerance is such an important quality to develop, actually. It's almost the main and foremost criteria to measure a person's spiritual strength and advancement and how tolerant that person can be. We have the examples of Prahlad Maharaj, Haridas Thakur, embodiment of tolerance, Yes. So yes, tolerance, such an important quality to cultivate. I have collected a few nice statements about tolerance, which I want to read to you. From Bhagavatam 1:1848, it says there, the devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. So, of course, avenging, taking revenge, is slightly different to defending, but ultimately it is also this defending mood behind it, because, you want to do something bad to them in return. That's your way at getting back at them, so it is also a way of defending ultimately. Yes. Yeah, but wow, this is powerful, Even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. Well, that's tolerance. Or there's another nice one. Let me see here. Tolerance, 11th canto. Tolerance means to patiently endure unhappiness, such as that provoked by the insults or negligence of others. It's also a nice way of defining tolerance, that we patiently endure such kind of unhappiness provoked by the insults or negligence. So in being insulted or neglected, this is pretty painful for the false ego, and to patiently endure such unhappiness coming from that. You know, that's what it means to be tolerant. So now there are, and I'm really summarizing this, there are two main tools we need to have to cultivate tolerance. What are they? What do you think? What are the two main tools? Exactly. Yeah, that's one. Humility. You know, a proud person will always explode and will never be tolerant. Yes. Humble person will say, actually, I deserve so much worse. But Krishna is so kind, he only gives me one drop of what I really deserve. You know? Yes. Could also be, yeah, but yeah, no, humility and forgiving. See, I like to see humility as primary quality, and then secondary qualities are forgiveness, tolerance, gratitude. You know, they're all like secondary manifestation of humility. But I mean something a little different, not connected with humility. Exactly. Yes. Faith in Krishna. Without faith in Krishna, pretty difficult to cultivate tolerance, you know. But being able to see Krishna's hand in the situation, that we ask ourselves, what is Krishna trying to teach me? Even though externally I'm in the right, but still there must be something Krishna is trying to teach me. You know? So, yeah, seeing Krishna in the picture. That's actually what it means to be Krishna conscious, you know, to really connect our situation with Krishna being there, you know. So if we have these two tools, that we cultivate humility and we have unflinching faith. If a devotee has unflinching faith in Krishna, he can tolerate anything and he will not leave, you know. Yeah, actually, once I heard Niranjana Swami giving a nice talk about devotee care. You know, he's really in this devotee care, which is based on mentorship, actually. You know, and one devotee was asking him to define devotee care, and he said devotee care means to nourish and protect a devotee's faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. That's the essence of devotee care. If the person has faith in Krishna and Prabhupada, especially, you know, anything can happen and he will get through it. But no matter how much you care, lovey-dovey care, you know, something will happen. And if he doesn't have faith, he will leave anyway. It doesn't matter how much you've been caring for him externally, materially, emotionally, you know. But if the faith is strong, you will stick through it, you know. So it's a nice and deep way to understand devotee care, you know. Yeah, so faith in Krishna and humility. They are the two tools which we definitely require to cultivate tolerance. You know? Yes. And one other point before we ask for questions. Sometimes people say, but if I tolerate, then all this negativity builds up in me and I get sick and sooner or later I explode, and you know. Well, that is not tolerating. That's not tolerance. That means we are simply suppressing. We are bottling up the the whole false ego battle, and inside the bottle, it's still going on, you know, and then the negativity builds up. You know, if we just externally, we keep quiet, okay, I have to tolerate, but inside, the false ego keeps demanding, oh, they shouldn't have treated you like that, and oh, how can they, and boo, you know, and the whole false ego battle goes on within. And yeah, then the negativity will build up and you will explode or you get sick or whatever. But that's not tolerating. So tolerance means faith in Krishna. We can see Krishna's hand in the whole picture. We try to understand what is Krishna trying to teach me here. And our humility will tell us, actually, I deserve so much worse, but Krishna is so kind, he only gives me one drop. So if we have this mood, then that's when we let go of the false ego battle, right? And then there will not be the negativity building up inside, you know, will not be possible if we truly have that mood and that approach in the situation, you know. So yeah, we have to distinguish between suppressing and true tolerance, two different things, you know. Yes. And last comment, family life gives so much opportunity for this. Oh my God, so much, you know. Yes, yes, so much. That's the whole purifying journey, you know, that we don't engage in ego battles between husband and wife and you know, or even with the parents also, you know. I was consciously using my relationship with my mother as an opportunity to let go of my false ego, that I thought to myself, okay, let her be right, even if she's not. Let her be right. No need for me to correct her, I have the last word. You know, in the beginning, I used to do this, and my mother, she was not very favorably reacting to this, you know, because actually the parents are our superiors. We are not meant to correct them, instruct them, even advise them. We have to be very careful, because if we advise, we actually take the superior position. You know, so we are actually meant to really treat our parents as our superiors, even if they're not devotees. You know, yes, yes. So no answering back, no defending, and all this, you know, but we're doing this all the time, especially in the Western world. We don't even realize that we're not supposed to behave like that, you know. And I'm convinced this is the main and foremost reason why so many devotees have tense relationships with their parents, because it's us who don't follow the Vaishnava etiquette, you know. Yes. Took me also quite a while to understand this. Nobody ever taught me these things. And yeah, and once I understood that, I really consciously used the relationship with my parents to let go of my false ego and bite my tongue, not answer back, not correct her, you know. It's all right, let her be right. No big deal, you know. At the moment of death, who cares who was right and who was wrong? You know, nobody cares. So yeah, and when we use these family relationships, which are often not easy, you know, but if we use them to dissolve our false ego, then we are winning so much. We get so purified, you know. And yeah, with my mother, it worked wonders, you know. My relationship with her became even more sweet and harmonious. And hopefully I let go a little bit of my false ego and learned to tolerate these situations without getting provoked, you know. Yes. So that's why family relationships are so purifying, if we really use them in that way, you know, and see them as an exercise to let go of the false ego's demands, you know. So now, what questions do we have? You had a few times your hand up, and I ignored you because I wanted to make a few points.
I totally understand, but I wanted to let you know that I did have a question.
Yes.
So very, very, very wonderfully you explained tolerance and everything else as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciated all your classes that I was able to attend and allowed to attend. I'm in a male body, so I didn't get to attend the other one.
Okay.
Anyway, my question on tolerance, like you explained, is a very high level, the highest level of tolerance of Haridas Thakur and Prahlad Maharaj. But for us who are not at that level, what I have heard is that if the, let's say, other person, family member or somebody is like very close, and there is a friendly relationship, then we can talk about it, isn't it? And try to understand their perspective and share our perspective in a very, if the relationship is close enough to allow that. Or should we just
Yes.
tolerate, as in like with all the principles that you mentioned about Krishna's arrangement and humility?
We definitely should talk, but not in the mood of defending.
Sure.
You know, there's a difference. There's a difference. It's subtle, but there's a difference. You know, if we humbly share and hear the other person, that is, of course, absolutely necessary for any relationship, you know, but not in the mood of defending. That's the point, you know. And actually, this rule of not defending is not only towards seniors, of course, there it's extremely inappropriate, but also towards juniors, you know. Even if you as a senior, you know, are in the situation where some young devotee behaves inappropriately, it is in many ways more effective if the instruction comes from somebody else and not from you. Because very easily the young devotee may fear you are defending. And because we are not on that high level, very easily the false ego also slips in there a little bit, and we are defending. And then the instruction will not be so uplifting for that person. So better to say to some other senior devotee, oh, by the way, this devotee behaved like this to me the other day. Maybe he should be instructed that this is not the proper thing to do. You know? And that is more effective because the other person, let's hope their false ego is not involved. You know, even if we defend others, of course, also the false ego can be in there, you know. Yeah, false ego is, you know, subtle enough to creep in anywhere, you know. But at least it's not all about me. And then there's less chance that the false ego is there, you know. But yeah, so talking about it and communicating and so on, this is a different thing, you know, but not in the defending mood. And this is the thing. I have been in situations where people think I just want to talk about it, but it's full on defense, you know. Because it's so subtle and because we are not free from the false ego. We are defending. We are, you know. That's our problem, you know. Yes. So that's why also it's good to have a mediator there, you know, and who catches it and who can say, hey, don't defend. Yes, yes. Yeah, it's very subtle, you know. What else? Yeah. Say it again.
Like you say that earlier setting.
Yeah.
Unless the purified of false ego, won't it always be some shading of defense?
Yes. Yes, it is.
So how could it be a beneficial thing that in spite of our inability to avoid defending, that there's some progress trying to be made? Like how would it be a progressive thing?
Well, it is progressive in such a way, more from a material point of view, that things are clarified and we clear the atmosphere and so on, Yeah, but, there are ways to talk about things which is not into the defense. And that is by taking a humble position and apologizing, even if we think we are right. And even if we think we actually didn't do anything wrong. No harm to apologize, no harm to take the humble position, Even if, let's say we correct somebody and the person gets irritated, But from our side, we really gave the correction as a well-wishing friend and all nice words, So a good way would be for us to go up to him and say, oh, I'm really sorry that I irritated you. I didn't mean it like that, and I'm sorry about that. Understanding that somehow we irritated that person. So maybe there was something subtle which we didn't do right or whatever. So no harm to apologize. What's the harm? The only entity which doesn't like it is the false ego, Yeah, there also sometimes people have this whole thing. No, he should apologize first. He should ask for forgiveness. I'm not gonna, oh God, just go up and it's a problem, I'm sorry, But often people say, yeah, I'm sorry, but actually, blah, 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 well, then that's I'm sorry is only lip service then, Yeah, so, but if we actually truly humbly apologize and we mean it, we are sorry that the other person got offended or irritated, usually that melts the heart of the other person immediately. And then the other person says, oh, actually, I'm also sorry. And I was the one who did something wrong. So humility is always glorious. Humility is always the winner. And it purifies the other person's heart, So if we base our clearing of the atmosphere in that sense, that we are really apologizing and expressing that we are sorry, and then maybe, more try and explain actually when I gave that correction, I really meant well. And how is it that you got so upset? Couldn't you feel that? Or whatever, so then, that defending propensity would at least be kept pretty low, put it that way. If we are mature enough, and purified enough that we are not speaking from false ego and defense mechanism, so there is room for talking things over, in an apologetic and humble way or something. But yeah, this defending is so subtle, And I mean, yeah, we can say, unless our motive is that we honestly want to apologize and express that we feel sorry, any other approach would be defending, right? Isn't it? Yes. Yes. All right. What else? Yes, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Very lot of good points that you shared. I want some clarity about what you said, that you should not defend yourself, but others should defend you, or you should defend others. How does that work? Like, are you saying with the mentor relationship that the mentor would defend you, or is it peers or anybody who happens to be there in that situation, like the other Vaishnavas?
Yeah.
What's the, if you could just give some example? And sometimes things could just happen between two devotees, right? There was nobody else. Who would defend, and should I be defending? I mean, if
Yeah.
I'm trying to defend somebody else in that process, I will be, I think, kind of offending the other person, right? If I'm trying to take side, it'll appear as if I'm taking sides. Something happened between two people, and if I'm trying to defend person A, the person B would think that I'm taking side.
Okay.
And, so it might be,
Yes.
and that's why people try to just stay back and let them fight, or let them resolve it themselves. What's the meaning when you said defend others? So thank you.
I mean, first of all, it means, if a person if you witness that a person gets wrongly treated, if you witness somebody screaming at somebody there in the kitchen or something, some inappropriate behavior, no matter who said what and who was right, who was wrong, there's certain things we just don't do with devotees, or hit somebody, or, whatever, all kinds of things are happening, So, rather than that person, being wrongly treated and feeling, oh, I have to hit back or scream back or something, that, yeah, somebody steps in and says, hey, this is not the way how to treat each other as Vaishnavas or something, That can be, for example, one thing. But yeah, there is certain etiquettes, when we defend others, we have to follow the Vaishnava etiquette. So obviously, if we are a younger devotee, then we are not in the position to defend somebody towards a senior or something, So then our way of defending them would be that we report the incidents to a superior person, to a senior person who has the position to bring, defend or bring some clarity, And I mean, defending doesn't mean we take sides, right? So when we defend somebody, like in a court case, the longest part of a court case is to hear all the witnesses. So, yeah, we often don't want to spend that time to hear everybody's version, So that if we are in a situation where we defend, we have to hear everybody's version, I mean, even like in marriage problems, let's say the wife comes to us and complains and says so many things about the husband. Well, to get a proper picture, we also have to talk to him before we pass a judgment here, because when we hear his side, it may sound all very differently. And then we realize, okay, so, that's his side of the story. And also the other way around, you know, he may come with a marriage issue. So we have to talk to the wife too and hear her side of the whole story. You know, so we can't take sides, pass judgments, or defend, you know, without hearing everybody involved. And only then, you know, we have to be equal to all sides, you know, and see who needs to be corrected and defended, you know. So yes, but we often don't do this, you know, we just pass judgments on situations, on persons, just by hearing one side, you know, and the other side we don't hear. And then very easily we misjudge things and we even cause offenses also, you know. Yes, yes. So yeah, it has to be all done properly, you know. Yes. Is that answering your question a little bit? Yes. Yeah, so we have to follow the etiquette. As a younger devotee, we can't just, you know, say things to a senior in some mood of defending another or something, you know. It has to be done properly, you know. So, I mean, this is similar like correcting, you know. Didn't we talk about that a little bit on the Sunday program? Culture of correcting others, you know, that just the fact that somebody makes a mistake doesn't give us the right to just go up to them and correct them. You know, we actually, it has to be our service. We have to have a certain position to correct others. You know, and often it's with newcomers, everybody pounces on them and corrects them because, oh, finally I can correct somebody here, you know, and then they get all corrected from all sides, and often the corrections are contradicting each other, and it's rather confusing and also discouraging. So there should be a person in charge for the ladies. I think I've heard that you don't have this here, right? Yeah, every temple has to have somebody who's in charge of the women. Has some women sanghas and trains them, and also works out different issues, you know, because amongst women there's often so many issues. As Prabhupada was saying, there can be so many mustaches in one room, but if there's more than 4 breasts in one room, it becomes difficult. You've got a problem, you know. So yeah, so there should be somebody who's in charge of the women, you know, and then that person, you know, can approach issues and correct people and defend others and so on, you know, or department head or the mentors. Yes, of course, the mentors, they are in that superior position and they have hopefully the trusting relationship, you know, ultimately to correct somebody effectively has to be based on trust, how much faith they have in you, you know. That's very much, you know, determining our ability to effectively correct somebody, how much faith they have in us. You know, if a person has no faith in us, then we can't really say much at all, you know. Any other question? Yeah.
Hi, Krishna Mataji. In our work life, at least today, I see certain situations where you might have to defend yourself and your work to your
Yes.
colleagues and your superiors. If not, it's easy to take you for granted, like, okay, we can ask you to change everything. How in these situations can we practice not
Okay.
defending ourselves?
Yeah, good that that question came up. I was waiting for it. I mean, first of all, even in the material world, people do understand the importance of humility. I remember reading once one article on the German news website, you know, that humility is a very appreciated quality for a leader. And I was amazed. I thought, wow, even the non-devotees actually understand that humility is a glorious and important quality for a leader, you know. And yeah, nobody wants to work under some arrogant, puffed up person there, you know, and that the leader should also be able to say, oh yeah, sorry, I made a mistake or something, you know. So I thought that was really good, that even non-devotees in the secular world did appreciating such qualities. But yeah, even in material dealings, we have to very well think about it, whether it's worthwhile defending or not. And I want to share a little story from my life where I found myself in such a situation. This is quite a few years ago, about 15 years ago. The German taxation department charged me, you know, how do you say? Yeah, without grounds, they charged me €1,500 tax. And I missed the 3 months period where I could object to this, because I was traveling and the letter was accepted by somebody else. They didn't open it. They didn't tell me what was in it. And by the time I got the letter, 3 months were gone and I couldn't object to this. So, and it was completely unfairly, the whole thing, you know. There was no grounds for them to charge me this tax, you know. So, and of course, initially, when I, you know, found this out, my false ego was, you know, up the roof there, you know, and how unfair, and what is this? These guys are cheating me and ripping me off, and. So I immediately rang the taxation department, and then this lady, we started arguing, and she just said, well, you know, you can take the matter to court, you know, you missed your 3 months period, and, you know. So, and of course, I was pretty disturbed, couldn't even think of anything else. The whole topic was just going around in my mind, couldn't chant anymore properly, and. So, and then thank God, I remembered one verse in purport from the Bhagavatam. So sometimes it comes in handy to know a few verses because I'm not so good in remembering them. That's why I always write them in my little verse book under T for tolerance. So, and I remembered that I wrote this in there, you see, so the writing actually also helps you to remember. So I want to read this to you. The verse, it's from 4th Canto, 19th chapter, verse 34, 4:19:34. So there the verse goes, we should always remember that if something happens by providential arrangement, we should not be very sorry. The more we try to rectify such reversals, the more we enter into the darkest region of materialistic thought. That's the verse, and now comes the purport. Sometimes the saintly or very religious person also has to meet with reversals in life. Such incidents should be taken as providential. Although there may be sufficient cause for being unhappy, one should avoid counteracting such reversals, for the more we become implicated in rectifying such reversals, the more we enter into the darkest regions of material anxiety. Lord Krishna has also advised us in this connection. One should tolerate things instead of becoming agitated. So I remembered this verse in purport, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to pay it. And that's it. No use. You know, you just imagine I would take the whole matter to court. Oh my God. You know, I would be all entangled in the deepest, darkest regions of material anxiety. My whole bhajan would be out the door, you know. I would be in court consciousness instead of Krishna consciousness. So yeah, I just thought, okay, I didn't pay much tax this life. Maybe I still owe them something. Let them have it. You know? Yes. And I just paid it and the story was finished. But it took me a couple of days for the false ego to let go of it, you know? The intelligence said, yes, just pay it, no use. But it's Krishna's money and I could have spent it in a better way. And they cheated me. They did cheat me, you know. They shouldn't have gotten that money, you know. So it took me a few days just to let go of it, you know. Yes, but yeah, I like to tell that story because, yeah, so even in material matters, we better think about it. We better ask our mentor what to do, because we may just be caught on the false ego platform in defense and you know, but it may just be wiser to just let it go. And you can almost remember at the moment of death, who cares? You know? Is it still important whether you paid €1,500 or not to the taxation department? Nobody cares. Already now, nobody cares. Already long time ago, nobody cares. You know? Yes. So, and I mean, see, externally, we may look like the loser. Actually, I'm sharing the story in the False Ego book. And there's this Prabhupada disciple, Gopish Prabhu in New Vrindavan, he edited it. And after each chapter, he sent it back to me when he edited. He was always saying, oh my God, another heart surgery, you know. And when he edited that part with the taxation department, he said, Mataji, I think I wouldn't have paid these $1,500. Yes, it was funny. Yeah, but see, externally, we may look like the loser to give in. But actually, in the long run, we are the winner. Yes. At the latest, at the moment of death, when we have learned to let go of the false ego's demands, you know. But very often already before, you know, even non-devotees can also appreciate it. When somebody gives in and says, okay, anyway, let you be right. It's okay. We can do as you want. And so on, you know. So, yeah, I dare say we have to look very carefully whether it's worth it. You know, short term, materially, we may be the winner. Wow, we stood up and defended. But long term, on the spiritual platform, we are not. You know? So if we battle our way through life like this, always defending out there in the material world, well, then maybe at the moment of death, we have to do another round because we have not learned to give up our false ego, you know. And I mean, this is my last comment because it is getting late. But, you know, I always say, I quote this verse 269 from Bhagavad Gita, what is day to the common person is night to the introspective sage. So this day-night principle accompanies us through our whole spiritual life. Tolerance is the highest thing, or one of the highest things in spiritual life, and it becomes the lowest, seeing it with material eyes. Yes. Tolerance stands for weakness. What? You can't fight and stand up for yourself? You know, for materialists, the glorious thing is to fight and defend. You know? Yes. 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 You know, often we hear this, oh, I would not tolerate this nonsense. Who am I to tolerate that? Forget it. I walk out, I get divorced. You know, so that's the glorious thing, you know, not to tolerate. But spiritually, no, we are losing. You know, it's weakness. That is spiritual weakness if we can't tolerate. You know, so good to understand. And this is a general principle that accompanies us throughout our whole devotional life. What is success in material life may very well be an impediment in spiritual life. And what success in spiritual life may very well be seen as unwanted. You know, who is striving to become tolerant? Nobody. It's not what people are striving for. No. You know? Yeah, so we have to very carefully consider what's best. And I mean, of course, Prabhupada, he was leading court cases, but he was not defending himself, but Krishna. You know, so that's a different thing. Yes. Okay, so maybe we should leave it at that. Huh? It's getting a little late. You have to work again tomorrow, and I have to fly off tomorrow to Boise. Yeah, so thank you so much for your kind attention, for coming one more time together, even though it's middle of the week. So, and today is really the last chance to get some books. If there's anybody who didn't get any yet, or who wants to get some as gifts, books are always good presents. Often it's not easy to find meaningful gifts for people. And this time I only bought 2 of each, you know, I didn't want to carry. But I don't even have many left, actually. So quite a lot of devotees got the books. You know. So, but now please read them also. Don't just put them on the shelf. And when I come back next time, they're still in their plastic cover. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm simply hoping you will find useful things. I mean, in the 40 book is so much more than what we discussed, so much more, you know, how much can we discuss in 2 sessions? But there's so much more, you know, so I'm hoping it will be relevant and some insights and so on, you know. Okay, so I wish you all the very, very best and hope to see you sometime again. If anybody plans to be over Christmas in India, please come to Mayapur and attend the Holy Name Retreat in Ekachakra. It's a really nice experience. Would be a big honor for me to serve you there from 23rd to 27th of December. It's already posted on my Holy Name website. If you go to theholynameretreat.net, you find it all. Yeah, very nice experience. Ekachakra is Nityananda's birthplace, for those who don't know. Lord Nityananda, the original guru. We need his blessings, his mercy. And yeah, it's a nice way to visit Ekachakra. We stay there 4 nights. Usually it's quite a bit of a hike, you know, it's 4 or 5 hours there, 4 or 5 hours back. Anybody's been to Ekachakra? Few people, yes. Yeah, but we stayed there 4 nights, you know, very, very nice experience. It usually takes me 2 days just to settle back into Big Mayapur when we come back, you know, because it's so sweet and intimate, and, you know, Mayapur is so big. But even the morning program, we joined the temple morning program, but then during the day we have our own thing. Yeah, but the temple Mongaladis and all that is so much more sweeter and smaller group and all that, you know. Yes, okay. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.